1. Hey guys, it's your homeboy, Hybrid, H to the Y to the PR, ID.
Did you really just say homeboy?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Hey, Hybrid!
No. Hey, Hybrid! Yes, of course, I am White Sheep.
And I'm Zach of Zach B Studios. I'm still running with that.
And I'm Oscar, agent of Hybrid.
Yeah. Yep, the whole gang's here finally, and we're actually going to get a big topic discussion underway. This is one we've been planning for weeks, it seems.
Weeks, not weeks. Plan for months.
I know. It's been a while since our last actual full-length discussion. We filled it in with some minor ones, and hopefully we'll do more full-length and a couple minor ones in the future. But really interesting topic today. I think this is a big one. Of course, the other 75th anniversary this year, not just Batman, but Marvel Comics. Yes. So clearly a big anniversary. It's a big year for anniversaries.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it over to Josh. Josh is not there.
Josh? Yes. Our leader has left us.
God damn it, Josh. Josh?
Josh, where are you?
No, I'm here.
What the fuck, dude?
It's just, there's a spider dangling from my ceiling, and I got, distracted staring at it, and I was just like, is this really happening right now? But, alright, yeah, so, let's get into a little bit of history with Marvel, shall we? So,
yes.
If you didn't know, Marvel, they started out as Timely Comics, not as Marvel Comics, as we know them today. Speaking of the superheroes, because they didn't initially publish superhero comic books, but focusing on the superhero side of their comic book publishing, we had Namor, the Submariner, and the Human Torch. The original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, who we did a bio on, actually, if you want to learn more about him. He is an android, not Johnny Storm. And then also, Namor, Atlantis, he's a pretty somewhat well-known character in the base. Maybe we'll do a bio on him later on too, because he has some interesting history also. But anyways, they were and also later on Captain America 2, or not Captain America 2, sorry, Captain America. Now, their popularity and their publishing really picked up during the war era. They were used a lot for propaganda, especially Captain America, obviously, because he's Captain America. So they were used a lot for propaganda. Human Torch got a sidekick named Toro, who wasn't an android. And then also, we got Bucky, who's Captain America's sidekick. Namor didn't really have a sidekick. Surprisingly enough, there's Namorita or something like that. I can't remember her name fully. It was something along those lines though. But anyways, yeah, so let's skip to the 60-ish era, I believe. Marvel decided they wanted to rebrand some of their old heroes, because obviously popularity-wise, their sales weren't doing that great. So they did stuff like they made the Fantastic Four, which was actually interestingly enough made with the purpose of competing against the Justice League. Now the Human Torch, the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four comic was intended to replace the Human Torch from the past, which is why obviously he's also called the Human Torch, and they basically had the same powers. So fun fact there. And also we got Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, The Thing, Ben Grimm, and moving on, we have the Avengers. Now this is when they decided a few issues into the Avengers to reintroduce Captain America, Stephen Rogers. Just like they did with the Human Torch, they wanted to, reintroduce, so to speak, to their new viewership, or readership, I guess technically. They wanted to reintroduce the characters to the new readership. Now, also, there's some confusion because Captain America was still being published, for the Vietnam War and all this stuff. So they ended up counting that, because they had, obviously, Captain America go into the water and the ice and all that stuff be frozen. They retconned it, so the government tried doing other Captain Americas later on, but at this time, it was still really confusing, and it wasn't really that much of a frozen time period. It wasn't like it is now. Now it's 70 years. Back then, it was 20 years max. So moving on, I call it the radiation age of Marvel Comics, because essentially all of the heroes got their powers, and a lot of the villains too got their powers, but they most of them got their powers from radiation. Because that was the big thing back in the day, the atom bomb, fear of radiation. So we got a lot of things spawning off that, like Spider-Man, Radioactive Spider. I mentioned the Fantastic Four. They were also products of radiation, cosmic rays. Then we had, who else? Mutants. That was a big one. Like mutation, your genes get mutated, all that stuff. So pretty cool things. Obviously, they all got somewhat popular to a degree, especially the X-Men got quite popular. Now, obviously, the original cast of X-Men did not include Wolverine, Colossus, all of them. Those fan favorites, those came later on. Which brings us to the Incredible Hulk, who's also a product of radiation and part of this radiation age. Because most of the Marvel comic characters that are very popular at this, popular in current day comics, spawned from the radiation age. Now, the Hulk was not originally green. He wasn't originally as massive as he is at this time, too. He was obviously inspired by Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Stan Lee loved that whole dynamic between that story and the characters, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So basically he made his own version of that. Hulk was originally gray, but over time he became green, Gamma Bomb, etc., etc. Then later on, we get characters like Thor. Thor was originally introduced into Marvel Comics because, he was introduced before, during, the Invaders World War II stuff, but they didn't ever really mention that until later on. But he was brought back to be a character more powerful than Hulk, because at the time Hulk was the strongest there is, obviously, and they felt like they needed a character that could match Hulk, and if not better, beat the Hulk. So that's why they introduced Thor, because he's a god, so they're like, well, if anyone could beat the Hulk, it would be a god. And also, Thor is Asgardian, Norse mythology, so you're not really messing with any big modern day religions. So sorry if you still worship Thor. I'm not trying to diss you. I'm just saying it how it is. But so moving on more, we pretty much stay with these characters that have been introduced in the Radiation Age for quite some time. Not much changes for them until we get to the 90s. 90s, aka the dark ages of comics. It hit harder for DC, in my opinion, than it did Marvel. But Marvel did take some hits too. We got stuff like the Clone Saga. That kind of changed, not Marvel Comics, but Spider-Man mythos quite drastically. Because, a lot of things happened to the point where it's like, well, clones. And, we got the Jackal and all that stuff. Death of Gwen Stacy, that did not happen in the 90s. But, the ramifications, crap, I can't even talk. Stuff like the Death of Gwen Stacy, the Venom symbiote, those things started to have much more impacts during the 90s, especially during the later 90s, early 2000s. We got stuff like the Stacy twins, for example. They brought that thing up, which was a horrible idea. We got stuff like that start brewing up. Villains started being more deadly, because at the time when villains were introduced, they weren't out there to kill the villain. They were kill the hero. They were there more to steal money. They were more not comical villains, but classical villains in that sense. They weren't they were bad guys in a sense where they were breaking the law, but they weren't bad guys in a sense where they were trying to kill people. So especially with the terrorist age we have nowadays, so to speak, villains got a lot more sadistic and a lot more terrorist, viewpoint wise, where they were taking hostages, threatening nations, threatening entire cities, not for money, per se, of course, but they'd kill people just cause that makes them a bad person. So it got pretty dark at times in comics. We got a lot of philosophical stories, both on DC and Marvel's end. Obviously this is about Marvel, so I'm gonna focus on Marvel. But characters like Captain America and all of them, they started getting rebooted. So we're going to talk a little bit more about each era in particular. I just wanted to run through it. So I guess to summarize it, not much has changed, really, since these characters were introduced, like 10 years-ish after they've been introduced. It's not often that these characters get major changes, and when they try doing major changes, usually the fan base retaliates, so they don't do the major changes. So that's why we have stuff like Ultimate Universe, MC2, etc., etc. My Marvel history is probably a bit rusty. I'm doing all this on top of my dome while eating turkey burgers, so forgive me. And you guys can talk now.
Good. Finally, the embargo is ended. That was very impressive if it was all off, the old coconut, but...
Yeah, give Josh an applause, everyone.
Yes, round of applause. I'll give you a few seconds to applaud him. No, okay, that's it, because you don't need to boost his ego too much. But, alright,
Too much.
Marvel, definitely, the range that it's gone through, it's incredible to me. I mean, just, as Josh was mentioning, how it responded to the times. I mean, it's definitely just in an effort to attract more readers. But you can kind of, looking at the comics, and this goes for DC as well, but since this is a Marvel discussion, I'm going to talk about Marvel. You can definitely almost kind of tell what was going on in the world by, how the comics were at a certain time. Like, for example, the X-Men. The X-Men had a huge thing to do with civil rights, because, invented in the 60s, they were about this persecuted minority, etc., etc. And in the same way that radiation superheroes popped up, like Josh was talking about. So it's kind of incredible to me that you can kind of get a brief history of at least political goings-on in America just by looking at those comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you, Nick. You were the first to react. I know this is hard for you as our big DC fan, but yes. But I mean, okay. So with that, let's start the discussion portion of this. So I'm gonna open it up to you guys. What are some of your favorite Marvel characters? Let's start with that. Feel free to jump in.
Okay, I'll guess. So I'll have Spider-Man is one of my personal favorite Marvel characters because he's so easy to relate to, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, I guess I'm kind of cheating at this, but the other characters that I love are basically the X-Men.
True. The other character I love is all 19,000 of the X-Men.
Yeah.
No worries. I definitely get that.
Yeah.
Any particular X-Men that's your favorite more than another?
Let's see. I like Nightcrawler, Darwin, Beast, Colossus, Banshee. I know most of those guys that were introduced during the second era of the X-Men.
Yeah. I was going to say, so basically all of them, but that's not even a tenth of all the X-Men we've ever seen.
No, if I was going to ravel up all the X-Men, we would be here for, about a week or so.
Yeah.
We would be here for a month.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's something so inherently relatable about those comics just because they were written to relate, kind of to people our age, because we're all fairly young. It's like Spider-Man was invented and he was kind of he broke the mold when he was actually, originally written. And I know Nick's got some choice words about Spider-Man's creation, and so I'll give him a little platform for that and once we get through these character things. But it's Spider-Man was written to be a relatable teenage superhero. And it was something that no one had really thought of before. And the X-Men, they were supposed to be a group of outcasts and stuff like that. So they're very relatable to young readers, especially, or young adult readers, pretty much readers of any age at this point, because now so many people have grown up with these characters. But to me, it's just incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
I know personally, my favorite Marvel hero, it changes every week. I love them all, but I don't know. I've got a soft spot in my heart for Doc Strange. Although I do also love Iron Man, and more in terms of someone that's actually not been in a movie yet that I would love to see in a movie. Well, I guess Gambit was technically in a movie, although he wasn't done any justice at all. Damn. I mean, it's incredible to me. So Zach, let me go ahead and get your favorite Marvel character.
Yeah, my favorite Marvel character, as many of you guys already know, it's Spider-Man. I grew up with the guy. I read most of the comics starting growing up, but most of all, I watched the TV shows. But a lot of the reasons why I like him so much is specifically what Oscar stated. He's probably one of the most relatable superheroes that we've got out there, essentially, because I could relate to a lot of his problems. The whole Parker Luck scenario, the Parker Luck that goes on around?
Yeah.
The whole, throughout the comics. A lot of the times, I feel like I have that, and That's technically my life. So, just without the whole spider powers deals. But that'd be cool if I had those. I could imagine what I would do with all that.
Yeah.
Yes. Posing a question to you, would you rather have spider powers and Peter Parker's incredible bad luck, or would you rather not have powers and have, I guess, good luck?
If it meant being able to web swing and crawl on walls, I'd take the bad luck any day. At least I have a good advantage over it.
True. You can always swing away from
moderate advantage.
All right, so
Moderate.
Nick, before I go into your discussion of Spider-Man's creation, I really I know you're a DC guy, but who's your favorite Marvel character?
My personal favorite is Captain America. I just feel that he, he's just such a simple character, and his, sort of what he stands for and everything, and all his virtues that he represents, and it's just pretty, he just wants to do the right thing, and just, he's a great character. I've loved all of his comics mostly. I try and collect as much Captain America as I can, and I also like Daredevil a lot too, because I feel that a lot of superheroes are pretty perfect, and Daredevil is blind,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
that was
pretty
incredible.
compelling.
And that's another Frank Miller-backed superhero, but it's really interesting. Daredevil, of course, I think as we mentioned in previous discussions, sort of Marvel's Batman, but Captain America, the beauty in that character is that it's such a simple concept. It's such a simple, he's the ultimate American. He's, the perfect soldier, all this stuff, but at the same time, writers always seem to find a way to make him interesting and complex, especially in recent years with not necessarily a comics thing, but like with Winter Soldier. We've seen a lot of backdrop with like the NSA, and Captain America's been thrown into conflict with the powers that be in Civil War, for example. So he's always an extremely well-written character, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So Nick, we were talking about Spider-Man's creation, and this is another educational portion of, I guess, this show.
Educational portions?
Well, you just went through the history, and we're going to go through something that people might not know, because everybody readily assumes that Stan Lee created Spider-Man, but the real story is much more...
No, everyone says Stan Lee created all of Marvel, and he's the sole creator of everything.
Yeah, that's only half true. That's only half true.
Yeah.
Yes, the real story is a little more clandestine, a little more shady than you might think, and so Nick, take it away.
Spider-Man, or just Marvel in general?
I think Spider-Man's a good example.
Yeah, how Steve Ditko basically got he just created everything of Spider-Man pretty much. I mean, Stan Lee, I guess, came up with the idea sort of that why don't we have a teenager who is not perfect and he has superpowers, and then Steve Ditko basically created the design, the characters, the mood, the attitudes, all that. And he's all these movies that make tons of money. Ditko is living in poor conditions, and it just kind of sucks that that happened to him. But yeah,
It sort of speaks to the way that, because a lot of people will probably jump on, and yes, it was extremely sort of unfortunate that someone who did that much for Marvel really didn't reap the benefits, but I mean, a lot of it is just, unfortunately, the way that the industry worked back then. And it doesn't make it right, but it at least, I'm trying to put it in context, not justify it. But, so many people, if you were a writer or an artist, you worked for hire. Everything you created was owned by, Marvel. That's just the way it happened.
Yeah, you
had no creative control.
Yeah, you can just look at the guys who created Superman, like, Siegel and Schuster. They got nothing for Superman.
Yeah, and I think they just they've been in court, or their family now, because I think they've both passed on, rest in peace. But their families, or they went to court, but now their families are continuing the court battle, and have been for some time. Yeah,
that's still going on.
Yeah,
I think so. Yes,
and I know there's a court battle for a bunch of Marvel characters right now, and
yeah, the Ditko family is
Kirby, I think. Jack Kirby.
The Kirby family.
I think it's a little bit of both, potentially, maybe. But it sucks that they're in that position, but my opinion on it is, like CJ did mention it, back then they were hired, like, it was work for hire, it was just like, if I got hired to dig in, like, California, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I found gold, like, because I was working, I was being paid to just dig, that gold technically isn't mine, it's the company's.
Yeah, it's like, sort of like...
So it sucks, because, like my analogy says, like, I'm the one that put in the hard work, I'm the one that did the digging, but that's what I was hired to do. That was my job. My job wasn't to find gold. So, like obviously, and my analogy goes obviously deeper than that because, and pun intended, because by gold I mean success, like these characters found a lot of success. But, yeah, like, it sucks. It sucks that, that's how it happened, but, that's how it happened, and it's legal. Like, it was done legally, so it's not like anything truly under the carpet dirty was being done, per se. Like, as wrong as it looks at this time period, back then, it was, it was commonplace. It was how it was done. Yeah. So, like, I hope they get something, like, I hope just out of, like, goodwill, the companies, would, give some money to, I guess, the families or whatever of the creators. Honestly, but beyond that, I don't see anything else they could really do.
Honestly, if I had to guess, I'd say the companies might settle, if only to avoid the extremely, like, bad press this might cause if everything gets out.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't pay attention to it. Like, as much as
a lot of people don't, but if it makes headlines, because something that can change overnight. Like if it makes headlines, especially considering the fact that Disney and Marvel now is, they're a multi-billion-dollar industry that has huge implications.
I wouldn't fuck with Disney though.
I would not, but I think it's
the mouse got mouse traps everywhere for us.
I know.
Yeah, try to go off the court against Disney.
Yeah, but going back to the Ditko thing, like, there's a bunch of theories as to why he wanted to leave the Spider-Man title, but, like, one of them is how, Stan Lee wanted to reveal that the Green Goblin was Norman Osborn, and Ditko didn't want that. He just wanted Green Goblin to just be a random guy.
Yeah.
So, it was, like, creative differences and stuff like that, and so
yeah, that's always a huge thing with, anything like comic industry, movie industry, etc. It's always just creative differences, like as we see with Marvel has a history of that, because we just saw Edgar Wright leave over creative differences. But
which is sad.
Yes, but anyways, I guess let's transition to another sort of topic, I guess.
I don't want to leave it on a somber note there.
Don't want to leave it on a somber note. Sorry, guys. Well, I mean, like we said, there's really not much going on right now other than that court battle, and the impact of that court battle would be huge, because if they win back the rights to the specific characters that he created, even though I don't think that they'll really win, just because of, like, he was willingly working under that system, regardless of whether it was right or not, I don't think they can rewrite history. But who knows? We never know. I mean, the courts ultimately decide, and sometimes they can change their minds and revise history, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, moving on, I was gonna real quickly try to, I guess, get everybody's favorite different Marvel event or Marvel run. I know some like Oscar, you mentioned the X-Men, so I mean, what I mean by this is, do you like, your favorite run might be Days of Future Past, or Zach, your favorite thing might be, I don't know, a Spider-Man run, or you could say The Amazing, like any of the Spider-Man TV shows or something, but yeah, so just favorite event or run.
Okay, favorite Spider-Man event in terms of comics would be Big Time, because that was actually one of the first comics I picked up after like a year or so hiatus. Because the last Spider-Man comic I read was one of the first issues of the Grim Hunt series. I never got to finish that. I ended up picking it up in trade later on, but the one I picked up first after that was Big Time, and that was when it got introduced the new Hobgoblin, which I'm not dissing Roderick Kingsley, but I kind of like this new Hobgoblin. he just looks so different, so badass. But to be honest, I do like the original, but the new one is just so damn cool. And the whole, and with Peter working at Horizons, well, this eventually changes. His luck started to change, and he actually started to, things were starting to look up for him, but that kind of changed at the end, because obviously now things have changed with Superior Spider-Man and all that. And for TV, I'm gonna cheat a bit by just go out and say the Spectacular Spider-Man. Favorite episode of that would be probably the episode before Nature versus Nurture, which is it's one of the symbiote episodes. Where it's one of the last episodes where the symbiote gets a hold of Peter, and Peter starts to realize what the suit really is. And there's this really, really great moment with him and Uncle Ben. You guys remember this part? He's like, in his mind, they're trying to get the symbiote out of there, but Uncle Ben is just consoling Peter, telling him that he needs to stop this thing and go and fix everything and make it right again. And I don't know, it's one of my favorite moments out of that series, and it really sucks that the series got canceled and that it got replaced with that Ultimate Spider-Man, which will probably be a discussion for another time, because it would probably be a whole discussion to discuss what is wrong with that show.
Yeah. Anyways, Oscar, go ahead.
Alright, as in terms of favorite X-Men event, I have to say that my absolute favorite X-Men event is the Age of Apocalypse story that happened during the 90s.
Yeah.
That is freaking amazing. If you haven't read The Age of Apocalypse, go to your nearest comic book store or go to Comixology or whatever and pick it up. I urge you.
Incredible.
It is so good. And in terms of general Marvel event, I really like Civil War.
Oh, dude, that is exactly what I was gonna say.
Civil War was awesome.
I love Civil War. And it's really especially in this day and age of events that really don't affect the universe, Civil War did actually have some long-ranging effects with the Marvel Universe. I mean, it wasn't quite like a New 52 explosive reboot, but it was definitely ripples.
It shook a lot of things up.
Yeah, I mean, towards the end of that, Captain America ended up dead.
And Spider-Man ended up revealing his identity.
Yeah, Spider-Man revealed his identity. Iron Man became the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., I believe, right after that. If not in direct correlation, soon thereafter. And it's one of those things where it's like it had never been... It was unprecedented. It was literally a civil war. I don't really... There's no better word for it. It was just really incredibly...
Yeah. Not only did the Civil War split the superheroes' opinions down the middle, but they also split the fans' views down the middle as well.
Oh yes, it was into so many people. Although I will say, the first time I read it, I kind of was like, okay, this is ambiguous. But I just went back and reread it a couple times, and they weight it for you. I think you're really supposed to side with Captain America. They make that side a lot easier to join up with. Although, really, I'm still maybe pro-registration.
Ooh.
I know, see, that's the thing. It's that's just what I got the first time I was reading through it. I was like, it just makes sense. But anyways, I was going to say, of course, Captain America is going to be the guy that says no.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Nick, let's go ahead and get your favorite event and or animated series.
My favorite event would have to be... I haven't read too much of Marvel events, but I liked House of M a lot. I thought that was really good.
Yes. That's a classic as well.
A recent one, I guess, Infinity. That was really great. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Favorite animated series?
In the last 5 years.
Animated? Yeah. I don't know. Is any? I guess it's Mightiest Heroes. I mean, that one's pretty great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Another show canceled far too soon, but I guess Marvel's rebranding strikes. But me personally, I have to, like I said, I already said favorite run was Civil War, for all the reasons that I just said. But really, for favorite animated series, it's incredibly hard for me to narrow down to one. But honestly, I'm actually kind of going to go away. I know Earth's Mightiest Heroes has been brought up. I'm actually going to say one that most people might not think of, Wolverine and the X-Men.
Oh yeah.
That was a kick-ass cartoon.
Yeah,
And it's incredible because they did pretty much exactly, and to me, I think they borrowed more of that for the current X-Men movies, like Days of Future Past and now Apocalypse, more than any other X-Men comic. Because, I mean, if you remember what was happening before it got canceled was Days of Future Past happened, and they were directly, like, they hinted at Apocalypse, and that was going to be the next big thing for them, and then they canceled the show.
Yeah, I was so pissed when I found out that, hey, next season should have been Age of Apocalypse, and I was like, fuck.
And we were going to get Deadpool. We were finally going to get Nolan North as Deadpool in that season.
Yeah.
Ugh, it just kills me. It was another show gone too soon, as it always seems to happen with animated TV shows. Lame toy sales, I guess. But, no, I mean, it's an incredible show, and it's one I think doesn't get thrown around quite as often as, the 90s Spider-Man, 90s Justice League and Batman, and even I think it gets thrown around a lot less than Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Oh, can I just come in between her and tell you my favorite anime show?
Yep.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I really liked X-Men Evolution.
Oh, another classic.
Yeah.
I remember, that was actually, I think, the first Marvel animated show that I watched. But, so it's always had a soft spot in my heart. That and Batman Beyond, I think. But, but that's not Marvel.
No.
Josh, are you ready to jump in with your picks?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Like the rare Pokemon, Red Gyarados, I'm coming out of the sea.
Okay. They're gonna make you change that name. The Native American tribes, they're pushing for it. Yeah. Red Gyarados.
No, I won't change to Red Gyarados. To be more, I don't know. Anyways, so my favorite story arc of all time is the Master Planner story arc, because that was the first Spider-Man comic book I ever read, and it's still my favorite. My favorite event, I'd have to say, it's hard not to say Civil War, but I want to say it's not Civil War. It's hard. I want to say Infinity because that surprised me about how good it is, but
like
it wasn't. See, it's hard to say though because I really nowadays I judge the event not by the event itself, but how does it last? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, how does it
lasting effects? Because it's like some of these events have been really good, and then just nothing came out of them. It's like nothing happened. The world went back.
Yeah, there were no repercussions after these events.
I want to say Civil War because the repercussions were quite broad, and they stayed for a few years, and led into the heroic age of Marvel Comics, which was not bad. Obviously, the worst one I could think of is Brand New Day. That was garbage.
Oh.
One More Day, whatever they want to call it.
Okay, in defense of One More Day, some of it was good, but the whole Mephisto deal with the devil deal, that was I will admit, that was a total, jump in the shark moment.
Oh yeah, and the Clone Saga was stupid too. Honestly, if they want to do the Clone Saga badly, just do Kane and Ben Reilly, and that's it. That's the only clones you need. You don't need anything else beyond that, and they didn't need to go as crazy with it as they did, like Spider Side.
How many clones are they up to now?
They would. It would probably be best if they're going to retcon anything, retcon that a little bit. Just trim the fat off that era.
Marvel actually did do sort of a reprinting of their original script for the Clone Saga.
Really?
Yeah, and I think it is in a comic trade, I believe.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
But
I'll have to look
it was like brushing your teeth, but not washing or flossing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You still have a little bit of taste in your mouth, and it's always going to still be there. And whenever you taste it, every once in a while, you're going to remember what used to be.
Yeah. Because when
all these analogies. Oh my god, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
You are an analogy man.
All my powers of metaphors and analogies and symphonies.
Yeah. Why don't we just call you Rafiki then?
Alright. What was the other thing we had? It was favorite story arc and something else?
Yeah, favorite animated show.
Oh shit. Well, obviously it's Marvel. It has to be a Marvel one.
Yep.
So obviously it's Ultimate Spider-Man, guys.
Stop trolling right now!
I am trolling. That shows some shit.
Exactly.
No, I'd
better
say
rip
it's
your head off
probably-
through the internet.
It's it's so hard because I want to say Spectacular Spider-Man, but then there's Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
See, what did I say? It comes down to those two for everybody.
Yeah.
Well, because like Avengers: Earth's Mightiest, like all right, both of the shows were faithful to their source material, which is always important. But the liberties it took with respect, and that's the important thing. Like because obviously it's bound, like shows are bound to take liberties with characters and storylines, but you have to do it with respect, and that's what both of these shows did. And it's hard for me because Spectacular Spider-Man did the Master Planner story arc. They did it, and I loved it. I was I'm gonna choose Spectacular Spider-Man just because of that.
Yeah. Especially
But-
that whole homage to that issue with Doc Ock. That was great.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. the whole thing.
Alright, so I guess let's,
The show is brilliant, by the way. By the way, I don't know if anyone noticed when he had the black suit. It started off as like, I guess the regular black suit. Well, not regular black suit. It started off as a black suit with like a white spider emblem, and then over time it grew to look more like the Venom suit.
Yeah.
It had more influence over Spider-Man. I don't know if anyone caught that. I thought that was always really cool. CJ, continue on.
I was going to say, before we wrap it up, because I do want to talk about two things before we wrap it up.
I have one thing too.
Okay, so I'm actually going to say one of my things real quick. Now Marvel has really staked its claim over film properties and film versions of superheroes. Especially in recent years, like since 2008. So 6 years ago, it all started with Iron Man. And since then, they've launched this huge cinematic universe. So I guess what I'm going to ask you right now is, of those film adaptations, which is your favorite?
Ooh, me.
Okay.
Yes,
you.
Josh, let's hear it.
What was the question again? Because I forgot.
What's your favorite Marvel movie?
Of all time?
The current ones, like MCU movie.
Shit. Let's see. Are we talking about like films, as in like film quality, or like movie, as in like fun factor, like fangasming and nerdgasming?
I guess either one's okay.
Okay, so film, as in like the film itself, like taking out the nerd factor. I'd say it's a tie between Iron Man 1 and Captain America 2. Because both of those, what they had going for it is they had social commentary in it, and it was really good social commentary in it, and also had great acting in it too. So it's really hard. I'd probably say, top of my head, Captain America 2, because the repercussions of that and the build to it was much more rewarding, obviously, than Iron Man 1, because it was the first one at the beginning. And also, I felt like the fight scene of Iron Man 1 was kind of Looking back on it now, it wasn't, like, obviously, coming right out of the movie, I was like, yeah, that was amazing. But the final fight between Ironmonger and Iron Man was kind of like, you know, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me looking back on it now as much as I wish it did. While in Captain America 2, all the fight scenes were great, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I cried when he told Bucky that he was with him until the end of the line. Like, I cried. Like, I'm a man, but I cried. Alright?
Yeah.
I cried when Peggy showed up. That was
God,
that was
so
some sad stuff.
That was
That-
feelsy.
Honestly,
Yeah.
when I saw that scene, I knew this was going to be a great movie because it wasn't a lot, but the stuff they gave you, the emotion there was felt. And it really hit me, you know, like, you really saw, like, Chris Evans did a really good job, like, you really saw it in his face and in his eyes, you know, like, he really,
Absolutely.
like, that was, you know, his best girl.
But alright,
so to speak.
so let's move it right along.
Avengers,
Zach.
though, for nerd factor, but.
Okay,
Yes.
Zach.
Avengers.
I would say, rather than saying favorite film, and favorite nerd factor, let's choose whichever one you deem more important. Let's just go one.
Yeah, with mine, I'm gonna go with Iron Man 3. Not because, okay, let me explain this first. I read the original Iron Man Extremis, my favorite Iron Man book, probably my only favorite Iron Man book. But the things I liked out of Iron Man 3 is that it changed things for Tony Stark. It made things different. And as much flack as the Mandarin twist gets, I get that. I get that a lot. But with everything that's been going on, and with Captain America: The Winter Soldier, it makes sense for why there's a whole twist and
True.
for what's been going on, and
Although
why
now they're going to bring in the actual Mandarin.
Yeah, and like with that, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
in a
they
sec,
backtracked. Now they're like, whoa, okay, that didn't work out. You know, you got to put the real one in.
Mandarin!
Yeah,
No,
the
I'm
whole
sure they'll
argument,
explain it both.
the whole argument with Shield not being there, it's explained in the Winter Soldier because in Iron Man 2, as bad as that movie is, it makes sense.
Yep.
So I actually, you know what? In the end, I guess it's a toss-up between Iron Man 3, Captain America 2, because I don't know, they just had so much big stuff in it, but Captain America 2 was the one that pulled it out in the end.
True.
It even made some of the bad moments in Iron Man 2 pretty damn good.
Yeah. All right. Oscar, favorite Marvel movie, whether because of fangasm or film factor.
Okay. I got two, but I'll take my number one pick, and it's The Incredible Hulk.
Good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I really love The Incredible Hulk because, as many people have stated before, the best superhero movies are movies that are a superhero in second hand and something else in first hand. And The Incredible Hulk is a fugitive movie.
True.
Yeah, and it really stays close to the era that I loved about the Hulk, which was, his early days when he was always running from the army and all that stuff, which I really, really love. And Ed Norton is a really good Bruce Banner, I might add.
Well, absolutely. That cannot be denied.
No, as much as I like Mark Ruffalo, in my mind, Ed Norton is still Bruce Banner to me.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I mean, as much as I love Mark Ruffalo, Edward Norton did the better job. I'm not saying Mark Ruffalo is bad, so don't get mad, guys.
Yeah, and my other favorite Marvel movie is Avengers.
That just speaks for itself.
Yeah, exactly, because all that build-up, all that plot just finally paid off. And I'm actually going to admit this, when they're doing this kind of camera angle, when they're going around showing off the team, when they're finally in New York and the alien invasion is happening, I cried. I thought it was so beautiful.
Yes.
Alright, so Nick.
Cap 2. I mean, it's just easy for me. Cap 2 is just great. It's just perfect. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Iron Man 1's it's a runner-up, but yeah, the rest of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
Nick is not a fan. But I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely interesting that these have divided people so much. I mean, they definitely embrace, I guess, the fun side. Although with Captain America, they did get a lot darker. And it's interesting. I think they've been learning. I mean, when the original Iron Man was released, the only precedent they had really was pretty much the Spider-Man movies and the Fox X-Men movies. So not a whole lot to draw on. Well, I mean, they did have Batman Begins, but I'm not sure that's what they were going for in Iron Man. But personally, I like them all. They're all great. But I have an extremely soft spot for Iron Man. I have a soft spot for Iron Man 1, just because I remember it was actually, it's a really interesting story. It was me and my stepdad, and I didn't really know my stepdad that well, but we kind of went to go see Iron Man 1. Or he took me to see Iron Man 1, and that was one of the things that we bonded over, was comics after that. And it's really, I know there's a lot of flack for people that got into comics after the Marvel movies came out, but I'm one of the people who was reading comics on and off before, but I really, after Iron Man 1, it just sparked an interest, and here I am now. And so for that, to me, just for both film factor and fun factor, I've got to give it to Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
But, did Josh? Did Josh go? Is Josh gone? Has he disappeared?
I cried. Your
Josh
story
cried. It
brought
was,
tears to my eyes.
of course. I'm hoping not a dry eye. I hope. But anyways, have you given your favorite movies, my friend?
Yeah, he went
Me?
first.
Oh,
Yeah.
you went first. That's right.
Remember
I should
the
definitely stop drinking now. Anyways, all right. So, Josh, you go ahead with your last thing.
All right. So I always talk to people about this. DC Comics. It looks like they made gods and icons that are trying to be human, while Marvel, it seems like they made human characters that are aspiring to inspire people like gods do and like idols do, and icons. So, which heroes do you think embody that kind of mindset the most? Like, obviously, Superman embodies for DC the god icon, like trying to be human kind of mindset. But which Marvel character for you guys? Like, I'm gonna go last. Which Marvel character though for you guys do you feel really incorporates that whole ideal?
Do you mind if I go first?
I don't care who goes first, as long as someone goes first.
I've got to say, I mean, the answer has got to, clearly to me, it's really got to be Captain America. And it's for all the reasons that we discussed earlier, is that at the end of the day, he's sort of the Superman-type Boy Scout. And for the very same reason, I feel like if you know the character, he would not be the first one to say, hey, I'm a god, you should respect me more. I mean, at the bottom of it, he's just a kid from Brooklyn. And so he really, that's who he is, and he stayed true to himself for the whole time, but at the same time, I think as, the years have gone on, he's realized that he is a symbol, for something more, and he is an icon. And I think he is probably the most positive figure, as well as probably, honestly, Marvel's biggest icon.
Yeah. Oh, and, you mentioned, crap, what did you say that I wanted to, comment on top of? I can't even, oh man. I'm having a brain fart. Having a brain fart. What did you say again? I got
Captain
the gist
America
of it.
just now?
Yeah, you said something that triggered something in my mind. Oh yeah, Boy Scout. As an Eagle Scout myself, I can say nothing about Superman besides the fact that he's a nice person makes him a Boy Scout at all. Do you actually want a Boy Scout in comics? Batman's a much more Boy Scout, and so is Captain America, I guess, in a sense, because as any Boy Scout knows, be prepared. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Next person, go.
Let's say Oscar, go ahead.
Okay. A person who embodies to inspire people. I gotta say Spider-Man, actually. To me, Spider-Man is a prime example of a normal person who was given these great powers and who had to live up to an even greater responsibility that came with those powers. And he is the character that has gone through sort of the hardest trial of his life, because he used to have the Daily Bugle on his back, always nagging and talking dirt about him and turning the public against him, but despite all that, he still kept fighting the good fight. He still kept protecting the people of New York and saving them from danger. And that is really something to be admired.
Yeah, it's definitely a great power comes great responsibility, yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
I think we lost Zach.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and pose my final question while we try to get him back.
I didn't get you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead while we try to get Zach back.
God, you guys are so. I tried adding him back actually, but it looks like it didn't go through. Let's see. Character I think that embodies the ideal that I mentioned before. I think Captain America and Spider-Man are very valiant answers to that question But I think, obviously, the real question, or not the real question, the real answer to that question is Howard the Duck. Born a duck with the mentality of a man. Howard the Duck has strived to become an ideal to strive towards, in the words of Jor-El, for decades.
Hybrid bit trolling.
Yes, I am.
Trolling award.
No, but in all seriousness, I think most Marvel characters exhibit this because most of them are humans that they may have powers, but they're not. Like a lot of the. I hate putting DC like in the spotlight in this Marvel discussion because they're not supposed to be in as a topic. But with DC Comics, a lot of times when the characters get powers, they're big powers. Like they can do some like really fantastic stuff with their abilities. While Marvel, a lot of the characters that get powers, they're still somewhat restricted to being like what would be considered street level heroes. So I think most of the characters in general, minus like the 1% of them that have like ridiculous powers like Sentry, Hyperion, Thor, I think most of them exhibit what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach's back. Just in time to answer the question I posed.
Alright, what was it again?
Basically, just say Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
There we go.
There we go. Alright, I honestly, I didn't have a final question. I guess what I was going to ask was, hey, what do you think the future of the Marvel Universe is going to be? But honestly, after thinking about it for a while, I don't know. It's kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like in 2060 or something, like, what is the Marvel Universe going to be like?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. By then, it probably would be rebooted, wouldn't it?
I have no idea. Well,
Mike,
let's see. If we look at the image that will be on the screen that people are watching, if you go past Stanley winking at you, you can see the Marvel Universe that used to be and the Marvel Universe that is now. Obviously, minus Superior Spider-Man because he's not around anymore. You can see it didn't change all that much. Plus or minus a few characters getting the spotlight more, but
Yeah.
And in all fairness, the picture on the left is like the Marvel Universe as a whole, while the picture on the right is the Marvel Now Avengers team. So, it's not totally fair, but I think characters like Fantastic Four, they're probably going to fade away.
Yeah, especially with the whole Fox thing going on.
Well, not even that. It's just that the type of stories that they are kind of not restricted to, per se, but they're really based on, they're exploration stories. I think while exploration will always be a part, like something people like reading about, there's only so much more exploration you can do to keep people's interest. And beyond exploration, there's not much Fantastic Four really has going for it, because they're not a superhero team like the Avengers or X-Men or anything like that. They are a family.
Yeah,
so and it's really sad because they're really interesting. And I read Jonathan Hickman's run. He did some great stuff with it, and he really understood, the fact that they're not superheroes. They're explorers. They're scientists. And that's why it really sucks. But, people like the new generation of comic book readers, they're coming out of TV shows like Adventure Time and, give me another show. What else is?
Like a regular show?
Regular show and all of them. Like these shows that are made for like Ultimate Spider-Man, Hulk Agents of Smash. Like, these are really dumb shows that are just made to catch their attention. They're not there to educate them. They're not there to actually give them a proper show. Like the 90 kids, all of us, we were spoiled. I think compared to what we have now on TV, at least from Marvel TV, we were spoiled quite a bit because the Marvel shows now are they're relatively crap. But what I'm basically trying to say here is the quality of what's introducing the younger audience to comics has been declining over time. And Fantastic Four is one of those comic books where you have to have quality to it because it's not just your average, superhero like Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man, you don't need that much intelligence to write Spider-Man. But someone like the Fantastic Four, you can't just write a Fantastic Four comic. they are ingrained in science and exploration, and it really sucks for them.
There's a certain facet of it that's got to be there that takes like an extra level of complexity. But really, let's call it what it is. Let's be frank. They're phasing out Fantastic Four because of the film rights, and I highly believe it's not. I don't think it's because modern readers won't read it. I think it's just because they don't have it back yet. And once they get it back, if they ever get it back, then Fantastic Four will come back. But
hey, I just want to. I'm sorry if I interrupted somebody. I just noticed looking at the picture that will be on the screen, Wolverine's flying. Because at first I thought he was jumping, but then I was like, there's no way you can jump that high up in the air, especially considering how heavy he is and how short he is. So, my man's Wolverine learned how to fly.
He's Wolverine. He can do anything. He's like the Marvel's equivalent of Batman. Yeah.
Alright, guys.
I know that the future of the Marvel Universe is going to be expensive because they're raising the prices to $4.99 and stuff. Like.
Oh, yes.
And that's
why the price of comics?
That's why comic books are getting harder to buy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then there's really, like a shit ton of movies coming out.
That's why I look at the situation where I feel like eventually, as much as I love the medium, like it's got a terminal illness, and that illness is the fact that they're sort of trapped in a little bit of a catch-22. It's like you don't get enough money because people don't buy the books, so you raise prices, but less people will buy the book if you raise prices. So you need to raise prices more. So it's just a never-ending cycle that only ends in the destruction. But
it's weird how. What were you?
I was going to say, eventually, I think we're just going to see them go completely digital, but that's a long ways off.
Oh, true story, by the way. I actually the reason I work at the movies today is because of Marvel movies. Because so many were coming out in 2014, this year, that I decided the only way I'd be able to possibly afford to see all of them is if I worked there, because you get free tickets. So But I'm not lying. Like, the reason I got them is so I could see, like, Captain America, X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy, like all those movies, because comic movies are just getting more and more every year, so, and movies are getting cheaper.
Yeah, but isn't it weird how the movies are getting bigger and bigger, but the comics aren't?
True.
Like, it sucks that, barely anyone's getting like, oh yeah, I gotta go buy that comic, and they're like, no, just watch the movies.
Yeah, that's because I think it's hard to introduce a non-comic book fan into comics, because they don't know really where to start.
Well, yeah, like, it's like I said, like, people, they don't have the attention span or the curiosity, I guess, to go out there, so to speak, as they used to. Like, now they're just like, okay, we'll turn on the internet, we'll turn on the TV.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd rather watch it than actually read it, so.
Yeah, and then I believe that many people have probably watched Big Bang Theory and probably think that we comic book nerds are very judgmental about non-comic book fans.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, I don't mind that show, but that stereotype is really getting old.
Yeah.
If anyone's here, just type in bark on the comments. Bark back at me. Bark, bark.
Yeah. Hashtag bark at Josh.
I'm gonna say at this point we're getting into tangents, and we've covered a lot of ground.
Now let's get to the DC discussion.
Oh yeah, we never talked about the Marvel Comics.
One day, we will do a DC discussion,
I think
I'm sure.
Never mind. We had a discussion about alternate universes. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this discussion. It's very free-flowing, as always.
Just a droid.
And lots of original opinions, original thoughts. And thank you for listening this far, if you've gotten this far, to the one dude who has inevitably listened to the end. Anyways, I guess signing off, this is the White Sheep.
This is the Hybrid, your homeboy.
Yeah, hail Hybrid.
Hail Hybrid, do it.
Yeah, and this is Zach of Zach B. I can't even say my own name. Okay, this is Zach of Zach B. Studios.
That's a good sign that this has gone on too long.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm pretty sure there's more people here.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, speak up.
Yeah, and I'm Oscar, Agent of Hybrid.
Yeah. I like this. It's catching on.
Yeah, I think we should start going hybrid now.
We have one more person.
Hail Hybrid and Agents of Sheep.
Okay then. Well then, I'm Oscar, also known as the Phantom. There.
Ooh.
How long
next
is the crazy Swedish guy?
Yeah, this crazy Swedish guy isn't really working out for me.
Crazy Swedish guy.
I might use that.
Of course.
Ja, det funkar helt enkelt inte. Nej.
Alright, we've got one more member.
I'm Nick, and I'm just that dude that loves DC.
That dude that loves DC, that's a good one.
That
Between
DC
that
dude.
your Skype picture, it just makes me really depressed.
Alright, guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.